I'm 26 years old, working as a software engineer, and I make a pretty good living. Last year, I bought a three-bedroom house in the city, a place that's nothing extravagant, but it's cozy, has a nice little backyard, and a spacious living room. This house represents a major milestone for me, a symbol of the hard work and stability I've achieved. I cover the mortgage, all the bills, and every single expense from groceries to maintenance. For me, this house is my sanctuary, my place of independence. My parents, Liz 52 and Tom 55, are both retired teachers. They have been living in the suburbs for years, but I wanted to give back to them for all the support they've shown me throughout my life. So I invited them to move in with me so that I could help them out as they transitioned into retirement. After everything they'd done for me, it felt good to finally be able to give something back, Dot. At first, things were great. My parents settled in, thrilled to be in the city with its conveniences and to be close to me as well. They had their own room in the house, while I stayed in the master bedroom with its walk-in closet and private bathroom. For me, having a private bathroom was essential. I'd gotten used to my own space and didn't really like sharing. I converted one of the other bedrooms into a home office, as I work from home about 80% of the time, and set it up with dual monitors, a comfortable chair, and everything else I needed to be productive. The third bedroom was left as a guest room for whenever family members or friends came to visit. The arrangement seemed ideal. I took care of all the expenses, didn't mind supporting them financially, and they had their own space without needing to worry about costs. For a while, everything went smoothly, Dot. Then, one morning over breakfast, my mom casually mentioned that my older brother, Jake, 28, and his wife, Emma, 26, were thinking about moving to the city. She told me Emma was pregnant, and they'd been struggling financially. As she talked about them, she hinted that they could really use some support. I didn't think much of it at the time. Jake and Emma had always had a bit of a chaotic lifestyle, jumping from one situation to another. I assumed if they did move, they'd find a small apartment nearby or somewhere else close. But things didn't go the way I imagined. A few days later, my mom sat me down with an almost apologetic look and informed me that they'd actually already invited Jake and Emma to stay with us, just for a little while until they get back on their feet. I was taken aback. They didn't ask me if it was all right, they just told me after the fact. And before I even had time to process it, Jake and Emma showed up at the door, bags in hand, clearly planning to stay longer than just a little while. Now, here's the thing, I love my family and I wanted to be supportive, but this was not what I'd signed up for. It wasn't just that my parents had made this decision without even checking in with me, the one paying for everything. It was that now I was going to be responsible for even more people financially, which would add extra strain. Jake and Emma didn't waste any time making themselves at home. Right from the start, it was obvious that they had no intentions of leaving anytime soon. I felt my frustration building. I was already paying for everything: groceries, utilities, the mortgage, and now I had two extra people to support. No one asked how I felt about it, and no one seemed to consider that maybe, just maybe, this would be a lot to take on Dot. It didn't help that Jake is, well, not exactly the most responsible person. He's always getting himself into messy situations, and everyone else usually ends up bailing him out. Emma, while polite enough, has this entitled attitude that gets under my skin. She's the type who acts like the world should cater to her, especially now that she's pregnant. The tension started brewing almost immediately. A few days after they moved in, Emma began making these subtle comments that seemed harmless, but were actually irritating. She'd say things like, Wow, this place is so big. It must be hard for you to keep it clean all by yourself, or we'll need a lot of space for the baby's things when they arrive. It was obvious that she already considered this her home. At first, I tried to brush it off, but things escalated quickly. One evening, Jake and Emma pulled me aside to talk. I thought, perhaps naively, that they might be planning to apologize for imposing or maybe even offer to help out with the expenses. But instead, Emma casually announced, "We've been thinking it would make the most sense for us to take the master bedroom." I blinked, thinking I must have misheard her. But then Jake chimed in, saying, "Yeah, the baby will need space, and the master bedroom has the walk-in closet and private bathroom. It would really help us out." The sheer audacity of it hit me all at once. I pay for the house. I pay the mortgage, the bills, everything. And here they were, asking me to give up my own room for them and their unborn child, as if I were some kind of guest in my own home. I kept my cool as best as I could and replied, "Why don't you just take the guest room? It's plenty big." Emma gave me a look like I'd just suggested something completely ridiculous. "But that room doesn't have a walk-in closet," she replied, as if that was the most valid reason in the world. I was done. I was already accommodating them, paying for everything, and now they wanted the room I had set up for myself, my sanctuary in the house I'd worked hard for. I told them flat out, "I'm not giving up my room. You can stay in the guest room, or you can find somewhere else to live." Jake looked shocked, like he couldn't believe I wasn't just rolling over. But Emma, she was downright offended. That's when I realized the situation was only going to get worse. The following days were tense. I started noticing their things spreading everywhere: shoes by the couch, baby magazines on the dining table, and even discussions about where they might put the crib. It was like they'd already decided to claim the master bedroom for themselves. One day, I had to go into the office for a meeting, and when I came home, my blood ran cold. My personal belongings, clothes, computer monitor, and other items, had been unceremoniously piled in the hallway. I rushed to the master bedroom, only to find Emma packing up the last of my things, as if it were no big deal. "What the hell are you doing?" I blurted out, furious. Emma didn't even flinch. "Your mom said we could start moving in here. The baby's coming soon, and we need the space," she replied nonchalantly. I was livid. "I told you, you're not taking my room." Emma just crossed her arms, looking defiant. "The guest room is too small." I had had enough. I repeated, "I don't care. You're not taking my room. Stay in the guest room or find somewhere else." Emma was visibly upset, but I couldn't bring myself to care anymore. I stormed out of the room, grabbed my phone, and called my mom, who wasn't home at the time. "Mom, did you tell Jake and Emma they could move into my room?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. There was a long pause before she finally admitted, "Well, I thought it would be the best solution. They need the space, and you already have the office. It's not like you're using the master bedroom for much." I was in disbelief. "Are you serious? I pay the mortgage, I pay the bills, and you think it's okay for them to take over my room?" She tried to calm me down, saying it wasn't a big deal, but I was done listening. "I'm not giving them my room. If they don't move their stuff out, they're going to need to find another place to stay." Apparently, Emma had overheard me because she stormed out of the room, furious. "You're seriously going to throw us out with a baby on the way?" she shouted. At that moment, Jake walked in, hearing the commotion. "What's going on?" I laid it out clearly. "What's going on is that your wife is trying to take my room. I'm telling you both, it's not happening. Stay in the guest room or leave. Jake wasn't pleased and tried pulling the "we're family" card, but I wasn't budging. I told them they had until the end of the day to get their stuff out of my room, or I'd do it for them. Jake glared at me, while Emma stomped off, slamming the door behind her. I retreated to my office, knowing that this was only the beginning of a much bigger issue.